Joe, how huge would it be for you guys to be able to sweep the Blue Jays here at home?
Well, I think the bigger thing is we're playing in our division, we're playing at home, and we've talked about that we need to play better at home. And these last 2 nights have been nice, and it would be big. I mean, that's the team we're chasing right now.
But they haven't won here since September of 2012. Do you think the majority of the guys in that clubhouse know that, or what do you think has been the biggest reason that team has struggled?
You know, sometimes when you get in those streaks, sometimes you wonder how it happens, because baseball is such a funny game, and momentum really is your starting pitcher the next day. You know, we went through one in Chicago that we broke this year, one in Oakland that we broke, and a lot of times there's no rhyme or reason. You know, we've been a pretty good club. I mean, and they've dealt with some things, but sometimes it's hard to figure out.
Kelly Johnson back in the lineup, 5 hits his last 4 games. What's different with him at the plate?
I just think he's in a good groove. He's swinging the bat well. He's also, you know, he's been on base through the walks. His at-bats have been really good. He went through a tough time. He started off pretty good, went through a tough time, and I think part of that was probably not playing as regular as he was in the beginning, and he's gotten it going again, and that's why he's playing.
Jorge.
Joe, you've kept Jacoby in the 3-hole and Gardner up top. Are you going to keep it that way? Is it hard to move Gardner out of that spot now that even if Beltran's back?
Well, I mean, I like what I see out of both of them. And you can only have one leadoff guy. I feel like our lineup has 2 of them in a sense, but you can only use one of them. And Gardy's done a really good job at the top of the order, and it really lengthens our lineup. It puts a lot of speed up top in front of these guys that can, you know, hit the doubles and the home runs. So it seemed to work okay.
Sorry, Georgie.
Joe, can you give a guess about when Beltran might get to the field, and how's he progressing?
No, I can't really give you a guess. He's going to play catch. He'll continue to play catch here, but I don't really have a date on it, George. We're trying to lengthen him out a little bit in a sense where he's throwing farther and increasing the intensity a little bit, but we don't really have a date. It's kind of a day-by-day thing because we've kind of told him if he feels anything, we probably need to stop it. So I don't really have a date.
Meredith.
Do you have Warner Betances tonight?
Betances, no. Warren, I'll have to see.
Chad.
So I imagine everybody involved understood when Solarte got off to the start he did that he'd sort of earned at bats. But when you have a guy like Kelly, do you have a conversation with him at any point to sort of say, here's kind of what I'm thinking, how I'm going to use you in those? Because obviously it was different than what he expected, I imagine, coming into the season.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that there was an understanding that Solo was doing really well, and Kelly was playing first a lot too, because we went through some times with Tex and you talk about it, and you know, you write the lineup every day, and you tell guys you're still going to play, in a sense, but Solo's going well right now, and it's kind of understood in a sense. I mean, that's kind of how the game works. But we know Kelly's a good player, and we've said all along he's going to help us, and that's what he's doing right now.
Mark.
Joe, with all the guys you brought in and the big names you have in the middle of your lineup, do you think Gardner goes overlooked in terms of his impact on this team? Not by you, obviously, but by people looking at your team from the outside?
I think so. I think because of the names and the people in the middle of the order, sometimes a guy like that can be overlooked. You know, I've talked about when we haven't had him, how much we've missed him. And it's really great to have him in the lineup every day and the job he does in left field. I mean, you're fortunate to have 2 center fielders, and we have a big left center gap, obviously, and that plays that's extremely important to us to have that kind of range out there. But I think, you know, when you talk about the Yankees, he's probably not going to be the first name that's talked about, but he's extremely important.
And yet he's, I think, beyond Jeter, he's the second longest tenured guy here. I mean, he's been here for a long time. Some people were surprised when you guys signed with that extension. Do you think he's showing this season, especially why why he and Ellsbury work as a combo out there?
I think so. I think it's a really good combo, and I think it gives your lineup a lot of options, and it's very good outfield defense, which is important.
Andrew, to your right, Joe.
Joe, what is your opinion of the division this year?
It's interesting. I think all teams have had to deal with injuries. And I've often said that the team that handles the injuries the best might be the team that's on top at the end of the year. And it's just, Toronto took off after they went through some tough times and went out and won a bunch of games and got a lead. And a lot of us have kind of played around 500 for the most year. And it's just baseball as a whole has been kind of strange to me. With what's going on in the parity in the game, there's a lot of teams, and now you add the extra wild card, and people always talk about this July 31st deadline. I don't know. There's going to be a lot of teams still involved.
Kevin, to your left.
Joe, how rewarding has it been to see Jeter come back this year after last year? And did you have any doubts at all that he would get back to this point?
No, I really didn't. I felt if he was healthy and he had the offseason to get healthy, that he would be a player that would really help us and would stabilize some things for our club. So I'm not really surprised at what he's done. My biggest concern was, would he be healthy? And when I saw him run in spring training and it wasn't necessarily guarded or difficult for him, I felt pretty good about what he could do.
Meredith.
Joe, David Phelps said last time out that was probably one of the best starts he's had in the league so far. How does he continue that success against this type of lineup?
Well, I think it's being ahead in the count. I think that's what you have to do with these lineups. You have to be aggressive, and it's one thing to be aggressive, but you also have to be aggressive and make quality pitches. And you can't nibble too much, because if you nibble too much, you're going to be in long counts, and they're going to see everything, and you're not going to last very long, because your pitch count is going to skyrocket. So to me, it's being aggressive with first pitch strikes and making them defensive.
Andrew.
Joe, if you ever transitioned a guy like Warren, who's been, one inning doing guy this late in the year, would he have to go down to AAA, or could you slowly do that in the majors? No,
we talked about this the other day. I mean, you could slowly do it up here, but you're going to need a couple long men in your bullpen. As I talked about yesterday, that you don't anticipate that your starter's going to have a short start, but Tanaka, took a line drive between his legs that fortunately hit his glove and didn't hit an ankle, and all of a sudden, he's knocked out in the first inning. You got issues. So that's the only thing if you choose to do it that way, you better have two long men.
Oh, yeah, Barry. Thought we'd escaped you today, Barry.
With Jarek having missed the year, and the same thing, you're kind of seeing it with Granderson. He missed a year, and now he's starting to sort of come back into a little bit of form now, too. How much of missing the year did it have to do with Jeter's starts and stops as the season began and just getting back into some sort of shape?
Well, I think it can have a lot to do with it. I mean, baseball players are meant to have 3 or 4 months off, not, a year and a half. And it's strange when you don't see live pitching and you have to get used to the speed of the game and playing every day. That's the one thing that I think is underestimated about our game is the speed of it. Because it appears to be slow, in the time between pitches. There's a lot of speed in our game, and that takes time to get used to again.
So you feel now that he's finally settling in?
Yeah, well, I think he has enough at-bats under his belt now that he's obviously more comfortable and is used to playing every day again.